Everybody, this is Kathy again with Premier Marketing. Thank you for joining our second week with Cincinnati Life. I'm glad you're able to make these events and keep on staying tuned with us because every Tuesday we're sending out some new options for you, some new sales ideas and product information. Today I have Cincinnati Life again with us on the phone, and I have Joshua Peterson on the phone with us. Hello, Joshua. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Kathy?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you. Hey, everybody. We're going to be going over their TermSetter plan, and they have a return of premium product. And I know this is your basic term plans, but I get a lot of calls. Everyone's asking for a term. What can we do? How high of a death benefit can we go to? What's the lowest we have? So this is a good reminder on a good term plan with a good conversion options and good riders availability into it. So I wanted Josh to go over this with us and explain everything that they have on term so you're 100% aware of. And think of them when you're running your term options. You can run them from our agent portal or from the carrier site. So Josh, I'm just gonna let you go ahead and take it away.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Kathy. Again, thank you, Premier, for the opportunity to be able to talk to you guys a little bit about what we have to offer. Today, we'll go through our TermSetter lineup, so the regular and the ROP. Honestly, term is our bread and butter. That's what we're really known for. That's what most of the business that we write is. The big thing that we want to get across, term should not be a commodity. The cheapest is not always the best, even though we're going to be very, very competitive. In the term market, there's rate compression where it might be $1 or $2 a month difference. And there should be a reason, maybe as an agent that you want to recommend somebody like Cincinnati Life over a different, cheaper carrier. And hopefully, going through this today, you guys will understand why, some of the things we look for, some of the benefits that we have on top of some other carriers for term insurance. So first off, we'll kind of kick off with just the regular term. It is called just TermSetter. We do have multiple products. We have a 10, 15, 20, 25, 30-year term in that regular term space. Our issue ages for the 10-year term, 0 to 75, the 15-year, 0 to 75, the 20-year, 0 to 65, which I kind of want to draw your attention to that 15-year before I move on. Up to 75 years old, being able to get a 15-year term, carrying somebody to age 90 is probably one of the top ones there to get term for somebody of that age. Again, 20-year term, 0 to 65, 25-year term goes to 60, 30-year term goes to 55. We are a carrier that is actual age, meaning, if my birthday is next week, for us, I get to say what my age is today. For a lot of other carriers that are out there that are going to be age nearest, I have to count myself as a year older. So for 6 months out of the year, very strong play there. It also gives us the ability to backdate policies. We can backdate up to 6 months to save age. So if we get into one of those situations, yes, it might cost the client a little bit more upfront, but over the duration of the term, whether it's 10 or all the way up to 30 years, in the long run, that decision will save them some money. And that is something that we are very happy to do, and we want to make sure everybody knows. So again, when you're quoting, especially for a carrier like us that uses actual age, please use the date of birth when we're quoting. That way we can identify, first, if it is an actual age situation, we can get in there and be rated as we knew and compete as we need to. And if it's a backdating situation, we can do that as well. We'll talk face amounts here quick on our products. So all of the terms in the ROPs, our minimum death benefit is $25,000. Now you will not see on iPipeline anything below 100. You have to quote through WinFlex. So either if you have WinFlex yourself, if you want Premier to help you out, or any of us here at Cincinnati to do it, you have to get into WinFlex to be able to run those, anything under 100,000. They all ran at standard health class. That's the best health class you can get, standard non-smoker for anything under 100 grand. But we do have it. So please keep in mind, we do have it. We are still very competitive under 100,000. We still do write it. It is still available. But keep that in mind. If you want to go see it, you're going to have to ask for a quote for it. You won't be able to do that on iPipeline. We have some of the cheapest modal factors that sit out there anymore. And probably what I believe is one of our biggest differentiators is our conversions. So that is one thing. If you want to talk what makes term different than it's something else, it is conversion stuff. There are a lot of carriers out there. I used to work in a BGA, so I do understand how this world works. Very, very low term costs. But if you want to go to conversion, if it's a carrier that doesn't have great permanent product offerings in their open book, it's probably not a great conversion company to be able to do. And that is a big thing. You know, unfortunately, none of us know when you sell a term policy, we don't know what our client's life is going to be like in 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, what their situation is going to be either financially or health wise. You know, being a term company, and writing a lot of term, I have a lot of stories of, unfortunately, people not being able to get insurance and they're past their conversion age. And that's something that we never really want to come across. They can't get anything new. They're completely unhealthy and they're just stuck. And I don't like it. I hate those situations. So being a carrier that has a very high quality term with quality conversion, I am very proud to work for Cincinnati Life to do that. You know, our conversion rules, you have to be either age 70 or the end of the term, whatever comes up first. However, we do offer 2 really good conversion products. I should backtrack there. If you convert in the first 5 years, you can convert into any of our open book products. So that includes our GUL that we have, our Heritage UL, our normal guaranteed whole life. Those are all options. And you know, and whatever the open book product's going to be 5 years from now, you'll have that. After 5 years, we have 2 products. They're called the Pivot line. So we have a Pivot Whole Life and a Pivot UL. Pivot Whole Life is still a fantastic product. Realistically, when you kind of rate it to our regular whole life, our open book product, if you're going to be converting by up to age 65, 66, it's incredibly comparable. It's a very, very good rate. Once you start getting into that 67, 68, 69, age 70, yes, it does become a bit more expensive as a conversion product. We all know conversion products can get a little pricey. Some conversion products can get very pricey. But being able to still be competitive for most of the time and still have a good rate as a conversion option for the people that need it is a very big thing. Also, I believe having a conversion whole life is very important, especially for people that want to convert, because they need that money for when they die, whether that's, you know, age 3 years from now or whether that's another 40 years from now. And unfortunately, if all you have is a current assumption UL to convert into or something like that, those aren't guaranteed. And it's just kind of a dangerous thing. Now, are there reasons to use it for conversion? Yes, absolutely. You can do that, but I love having our whole life product. We also have annual renewable term that they can get into. So each year past the duration, it will automatically move into annual renewable term. Keep in mind, we can't convert during that anymore. Once it goes into ART, that's going to be their option. However, it is very cost effective for the first 5 to 7 years. But once you get outside of that time frame, the ART rates do start to climb incredibly high. So when I talk to people about conversion and what's there, what your options are, you know, if you're relatively healthy, re-underwrite, try to get a new product. That's your cheapest and best way to go. If you are terminally ill, you know you've only got a couple of years left, I'd take the ART. It's going to be incredibly cheaper, and you get to keep your full underwrite or your full death benefit there. If you're not healthy and you need this for a long period of time, you're planning to need this, you know, 7+ years into the future, 5 to 7 or even more into the future, you know, that's where we really want to be looking at the UL, or definitely, you know, 15+ years in the future, the whole life. So both those pivot products are there. As we get into kind of some of the other stuff, some of the riders and what we're able to offer, you know, we've got an accelerated benefit rider, 50% of your death benefit up to $250,000. That doesn't cost anything, pretty normal. We have children's rider. We use that a lot. Accidental death, honestly, isn't used very much anymore for dying in act, just because the cost of term insurance is so low, and these riders are quite expensive. They're almost 80 to 90% of what you're just buying the amount of term would be. that most people just buy the term, and we don't really see that rider used much anymore. We also still are one that have waiver of premium. It's basically a DI rider, right? After 6 consecutive months of disability, we'll pick up the premiums. That's issue age 15 to 60 years. If your clients don't have DI insurance, that's a great rider to throw on there, and you definitely want to take a look at that. We put all of our normal health classifications in here: preferred plus, preferred standard, standard plus. We do have that preferred smoker for the cigarette user that runs 3 miles a day. We also have standard smoker for the normal rates that kind of go inside of that. Kind of our underwriting classifications. We've got decent bill charts that sit out there. I would say our number one reason, niche, and this isn't just for the term, but for Cincinnati in general, is our tobacco and marijuana usage of what we're able to do. We are one where we will give smokeless tobacco. So that is your chew, your snuff, pouches, Zyn being the new thing, or whatever those packets are, can get up to standard plus non-tobacco rates. Cigar, we can do non-tobacco rates. Pipe, non-tobacco rates. Even if the urine is positive in the test, we just have to report it on the app. Only thing we really consider smoking tobacco are cigarettes, e-cigarettes and vape that have nicotine in them, hookah, and then if somebody is using the gum or the patch, that is because they're trying to quit smoking. So they need to be clear of all of those things for at least a year to be able to get a non-smoking rate. But if they use any of the other alternatives, we're still going to be able to give them a non-smoking up to standard plus rate. We have very good tobacco or marijuana guidelines. They're not probably the most loose in the insurance industry, but as long as you're not a regular everyday user, age 30 or older, 25 or older, we can definitely get you into some really good rates, even being a marijuana user. So don't really run away from those. Next, I want to show you kind of the term rate compare. So this is a form that we can get with quotes. We can put up to 3 different face amounts per line item. So for this example, I used a 30-year-old female client, preferred health class. We can show what 250, 500, $1 million. You can pick any 3 that you want that go in there, up to 3 if you want to. And we can also show every product that they qualify for in the term. So a 30-year-old is going to qualify for them all. So that's why we see our 30 or 25, 20, 15, 10. Possibly one of my favorite things, though, is that we can add the ROP on. Now, the ROP, I'll kind of get into an illustration here in a minute on that. But really, it's what if you don't die, in your term duration. So in 30 years, you don't pass away. You either get a policy value, which is cash. You'll get that cash back, or you can keep. We can keep that cash, and you can get paid up insurance. So it gives them options. Again, we talked about the same thing with conversion. The ROP is almost a couple of plans in one. Again, we don't know what their situation is going to be 20, 25, 30 years down the road. So having those options there for let's look at this $500,000 one, $360 a year on the regular term, $690 on the term ROP. So it's not quite double the cost for this 30-year-old. But in 30 years, if they don't die, they can get tax-free check for $20,700. They can let us keep that, and they can get a paid-up policy for $55,500. That'll carry them to age 100. Or you can do kind of a blend. And again, these options come around when it's done. But maybe they just want to keep $25,000 for final expense. So we would give them, say, a check for $10,000 of cash, and then they'll have a $25,000 paid-up policy that sits in there. But anytime you're quoting term, especially in this game, we love being able to show, and you might not want to show them all. Maybe they really do need just that 30-year, but I would show a 30-year term with the 30-year ROP. Have them make that call, but being able to potentially upsell or get them into a little bit more benefit of a product definitely goes a long way. And we do sell a lot of ROP since we're one of the few carriers that sit out there. Speaking of ROP, this is kind of what the illustration looks like. Again, it's going to look very similar to the term, but the one reason I bring this up is inside of the illustration, you will see at each year, look at our cash value percentages and this policy value. So even with term, after 7 years in the 8th year, if they surrender, there is a value there. With regular term, there isn't. Yeah, that's only 8.4%. And you'll also see it kind of works as essentially until the 3rd or the 20th year. This is a 20-year policy. That's when they get 100% of the return. So if they quit in year 15, they're only going to get 72.5% back. But there is still value there. Or they can stop and just take the paid up insurance. So a lot of good ways to be able to use the ROP product, all the extra benefit that sits in there, all the extra options that sit in there. Very good, a nice way to add a little bit of value into term to give your client a few more benefits, and also just to be able to handle anything that may come up. And when during the duration of this term, we just don't know what it's going to be. So that's what we like to have. The last thing I'm going to hit on with our term and our ROP is going to be our rapid review guidelines. This is available. It has to be done through a drop ticket. So it has to be submitted through iPipeline, through the drop ticket system. But for all of our term products and all of our ROP products, if they are 18 to 50, $100,000 to up to $2 million, and that does include any other Cincy policies they may have in force, we can do rapid review. Really, it's our quick issue, right? So we do a telephone interview, 24 to 48 hours. If they get through the system, we can offer standard, non-smoking or better. So it's not just one rate. We're going to do standard, standard plus, preferred or preferred plus. They're all options in there of what they could get. Our normal rules apply. So those non-smoking tobacco users and even marijuana users can get through this. Very good build guidelines that go inside of here. Realistically, anything that's going to put you outside of a standard health rate or a tobacco health rate will kind of kick you out of this thing. There is non-medical criteria, avocation, aviation, certain driving things, and medical conditions. Again, these are the medical conditions that would knock you essentially out of standard to begin with. But if they get through all that, an underwriter does look at it quick just to make sure it falls into the rules. It then gets plugged into our computer algorithm program, shoots through, and within 24 to 48 hours, you can have a decision where there would be no exams, no APSs, anything like that. It's really our accelerated underwriting program that if you write term, you're probably used to it, what sits out there. However, any rating that comes out of this will stick. It's going to be the offer for 1 year. If you go through rapid review, unfortunately, no, you can't pull it back out and go through real underwriting to see if you can get a different offer. This one sticks for a year and it goes in. But I will say there are a lot of applications getting sent through this process. Pretty much like any other accelerated program, when it works, it is fantastic. The clients love it. It is not always perfect. And that's the same for any accelerated that's out there, not just Cincinnati's. Sometimes you get an offer back maybe that it wasn't the greatest. The one flag that I have noticed is usually credit. And so bad credit, no credit, because that is in these algorithms, can have an impact. So you might think you have a super young, super healthy client, but they get, kicked out of this system because of credit. That's fine. We'd rather do that way, go through regular underwriting, get you your preferred plus rate. That's really the one red that comes up there. The other thing with our rapid review is we hold 10% of all applications that go into the program. We hold 10% out for auditing purposes. So even though they might fit and be a perfect one, they may not get it if they're in that 10%. We'd rather catch it on the front end rather than go through it, make an offer, and then say, ooh, sorry, we're actually going to underwrite this thing now because we have to audit it. There are some carriers that do that we are not, that we don't want to be a part of. So that's about the only, kind of the ups and downs of the rapid review of the accelerated system. Again, fantastic most of the time. There are some bumps, and if you do catch one of those bumps when you do this, just work with us. We'll get everybody through it, be able to explain away what the reasonings are or what it may be, and help you out to make sure that client still has a good time with you and with us at Cincinnati Life. that about wraps up, I think, everything I have for term, our term ROP, our rapid review guidelines inside of there. Kathy, do you have any other questions or comments or?
I have no questions. Just want to say thank you for doing that. That was a lot of information in a short period of time. So thank you for being able to go through your term products with us and everybody on the line here. Just want to say thank you again for doing that. Thanks everybody for joining us on this. You can run their term products at our iPipeline, our agent portal. If you have any questions on that, please give us a call so we can make sure that you're set up for the agent portal. One other thing, we want to make sure that you're set up for the carrier. If you're going to be writing more than their term, we want to make sure that you're set up ready to go through the carrier with having your contract completed. Don't forget that. We want to make sure that's set up for you guys right away too. I'm hoping everybody paid attention to his portion about the tobacco clients that are cigar users using those Zen. We've been getting a lot of phone calls on Zen pouches for what can we do for this, and that's a very, very good underwriting because not all of the carriers will do that for us. And then with marijuana usage, as long as they're being, telling the truth, your clients are admitting to what they're doing and how often they're admitting, you've got a great carrier here that'll be able to take them with a non-tobacco rate. So I'm really liking your guys's underwriting for that because that's huge. Again, not a lot of carriers do that. So thank you for explaining that to us, Josh.
You're welcome. And again, thank you for the time. Again, I'm happy to help whatever you guys may need out there.
We appreciate that. If you need to get a hold of us at Premier, it's 800-365-8208. Team extension is 607. Otherwise, you can reach me at Kathy@premiersmi.com. And Josh, if they want to get a hold of you for any questions about the webinars you're doing.
Sure. So email would be Josh_Peterson, PETERSEN @Cinfin, CINFIN.com, or feel free to reach out to myself. It's 319-269-6174.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We'll talk to you guys next week. Have a great one. Bye.